commit 100% to the growth of the country. These are not my words, these are the words of the newly sworn in or inaugurated Minister of Agriculture and Food Security in the person of Malam Abubakar Kyari. Him and the Minister of State, Senator Sani Abdullahi, gave their pledge upon resumption to office that they are going to do all it takes in ensuring that Nigeria takes the pride of place when it comes to food security and sustainability. That's our open on the program Agric Economy, as we'll be having our guests discuss expectations from the new ministers that just got into office. We'll take a quick break and return. Meet our guests. Stay tuned. Like I said earlier, the program is Agric Economy, and we'll be taking a look at the expectation by stakeholders from the newly inaugurated ministers. They've said that they are ready and willing to work, and they are also ready to ensure that they eradicate hunger in the society in Nigeria, and of course being able to export these food items to other countries. To discuss that with me in the studio is our economist that we usually have in the house. His name is Mr. Idakolo. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we've heard it. The ministers have arrived. We've been waiting for them. Nigerians have been counting. Yes, 60 days. The constitution had already, given ultimatum to this and the rest of it. And we saw drama upon drama as regards, ministers going to the Senate for their, clarification and the rest of it. Finally, the ministers are in office.
Yeah.
The Minister of Agriculture, the ministers rather, because we have the Minister of State in the person of Abubakar Kyari, Senator, and we have Senator Sabi Abdullahi, who are, I would say, an agric grounded people. Senator Sabi Abdullahi is one who has been in forefront when it comes to Nigerian agricultural reform setting in Nigeria before now. And we know that the Senator Abubakar Kyari is even a farmer, to say. So these are stakeholders, so to say. What are your expectations?
Actually, I want to commend the government, the Bola Tinubu government, for the caliber of people that have been appointed as ministers and Minister of State for Agriculture. Based on their background, their experience, and their practicality of what they are going to bring on the table, I expect a lot from them. The government also expects a lot from these ministers because we are at a crossroad in our country where hunger is ravaging the country, where over 140 million Nigerians are in multidimensional poverty, which is also included hunger, where there is nothing like 3 square meals anymore, and even the 1 square meal, sometimes people go hungry even at it because of the capacity to purchase. We are also at an era where the cost of living has skyrocketed, and it has affected food prices. We are also in an era where security is a major problem, and it has also affected farm produce and logistics. We are also in an area where security has also caused lower yield in farm production because of clashes by farmers and others, and sometimes terrorists that have not allowed farmers to go into their farms or to produce as they wish, or even aspiring farmers to want to contemplate to go into farm settlements and increase and improve on the food supply in Nigeria. So with all these myriads of problems that the ministers have met on ground, it is now left for them to fashion out ways on how they are going to ensure that one after the other, Nigeria attains food sustainability. Another thing that we need to know is that during the reorganization of parastatals and ministries, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture was renamed Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. It also mirrors the determination of this government to ensure that we enjoy food security in this country. And when we are talking about food security, it does not come cheap. Food security entails every Nigerian having the opportunity to be able to go to bed with their stomach full. So for us to achieve food security with the problems that are scaring us in the face, then we have the ministers have a long way to go.
Okay, looking at it, they said hunger is one thing they're already willing to tackle. We know that on this program we've talked about so many ways. We have had advices on incoming ministers as to how they're going to handle, especially the policies that we already have on ground by the previous agricultural minister. What do you think? What ways can they, like a reminder now, what ways can they go about this?
The beauty of it is that immediately this new administration was sworn in, I think about 3 weeks or 4 weeks after, the president brought out an agricultural policy talking about hectares of land in all the states, talking about agricultural grants to farmers, talking about improved agric extension, talking about ensuring that there are land for cattle ranch and stuff like that. And they set a lot into motion to ensure that that is achieved. So if we want to start on that pedestal, I think the new ministers need to study this government policy to ensure that there is seamless implementation of this policy. The previous administration has tried in the areas of ensuring that farmers have access to capital or facilities to be able to grow specific crops in Nigeria. They also tried as much as possible to partner with MDAs in research, in improved seedlings and what have you. So when you look at what this new government wants to do, looking at the problem that is staring us in the face, it's coming with a bold plan to ensure that if implemented in a short run, we'll be able to see changes. And so the the Ministry of Agric is a critical stakeholder in the survival of Nigeria's economy, in the survival of this new government, and in the survival of Nigerians as a whole. So with the policies that the government has brought out early in the life of this administration, these new ministers need to kickstart the policy to ensure that with the cooperation of various staff and various agencies under them, that something tangible is done in the soonest possible time.
We've seen, just like the Agric Minister wrote that policy that's going to guide the ministry, we saw its counterparts in the person of the Minister of FCT, who came out to say that cattle rearing will not be allowed around the city center. I know this, for some farmers, is going to be like, so how do we cater for, this cattle and the rest of it? What are words of assurance? What are your words for farmers in the city center as regards ranching grazing in open areas?
Actually, I commend the Minister of FCT for that declaration and that statement or policy statement. It's an anomaly for cattle to be on roads in the state capital, talk less of the federal capital. Yes, Nigeria is an agrarian economy to a large extent, but you don't go to other agrarian economies and you see cattle on the expressways blocking the major roads. It constitutes a nuisance. So I see that declaration and possible implementation as a way to go, the right way and the best way to go when it comes to grazing in open areas. It is not supposed to be. Be that as it may, I also see the government partnering, the Ministry of Agric now, partnering with the FCT to ensure that there are sustainable ranches in FCT so that we will not beat the child and do not expect the child to cry. So we need to, in enforcing this policy of ban on open grazing, ensure that there is suitable cattle ranches or suitable reserved areas where these cattle can be able to be grazing and feeding and do the same. Because if we fail to do that, it means that we want to run them out of business, and it will also affect cattle production. So I believe that making that policy statement, the Ministry of Agric should liaise with Minister of FCT to ensure that there is an agreement between both ministries to be able to nip this in the bud in an amicable way, so that it will be a win-win situation on the long run.
Okay, and we've seen the ministers as well, made pinpointed areas and said that, especially for the minister himself, said yes, there are problems when it comes to agricultural sector in Nigeria, though they are insurmountable, and the rest of the Nigerians are wondering, how do you want to perform this magic? What are your words?
Yes, one thing that is very important is the willingness of the federal government to pursue a policy to its implementation and for its success. Okay. Implementing agricultural policies by this new government is one of the ways that it will endear themselves to the hearts of the people. The people are very hungry. An hungry man is an angry man. So the Bola Tinubu administration and even the president himself needs to enforce these policies to ensure that any bottleneck that will affect or will derail the policy direction of the government is surmounted. And I'm sure that the president will have also given marching orders to these ministers to ensure that if there will be administrative bureaucracies, it should be removed. And there will also be cooperation across ministries to ensure that agricultural policies of government is implemented to the letter. Areas where roads need to be provided, there will be cooperation between the relevant ministries to provide road for easy access to farms and for easy logistics back to market areas. Another thing that's also there is that we know that the agricultural value chain is fluid. We also know that there are interests in the agri value chain, but one of the major impediments has been security. And this government has decided with their pronouncement to tackle it headlong to ensure that farmers are safe in their farms, farm produce are not attacked, and new entrepreneurs in agricultural sector can feel safe to invest, and foreign investment can also flow in. So these critical areas that can affect productivity in agriculture needs to be looked into, needs to be worked upon to ensure that it does not derail the laudable plans of the government.
Okay, on that note, we'll quickly take a break. On return, we'll be taking the GDP aspect of the effect of these new ministers on board. We're going to take how they're coming on board is going to, of course, increase the nation's GDP. Stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. So much has been said as regards expectations from the minister. It is hoped that these ideas that have been chipped in is going to be followed to the letter. The ministers have said it; they are ready and willing to work. And the two people that have been posted to the ministry is there are so much. There are those that are agric inclined people looking at their background and where they are coming from. It's still the program Agric Economy, and now we'll be taking we'll take a look at the issue of price control. And before now we had a discussion on price control where we said residents were actually in one of our program market survey. We have a market flow where we do survey of food items every week, as on Fridays, and then we see people call for government to come up with price control of items, especially households, yes, so that this food sustainability drive can go far, and then of course poverty can be reduced. What do you think about that?
The government needs the collaboration of the private sector. It's also a good thing that in implementing a subsidy palliative policy, the government released grains to all the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. One of the tools of price control is availability of staple foods like grains and the rest. If they are in available quantity through the government intervention, the government has the right or has the moral right to be able to control the price to a large extent. But if we're experiencing scarcity and the farmers go through a lot of hurdles to be able to get these staples or these food products to the market, then it will be difficult for the government to control the pricing, because one, there will be scarcity on ground already, and two, the farmers need to recoup whatever it is they have spent to bring the products to the market. So it's a good step that the government has brought in grains for all the states to be able to cushion scarcity of staple foods in the country. So when there is no scarcity, it will help the government to be able to peg the prices so that it will not get out of hand. For example, if somebody in the market is selling government produce that has just come in, and he knows that everybody has you cannot monopolize the price. So it will stay within an existing price range that will be affordable. The second aspect why I said that the government needs to partner with the private sector when it comes to manufacturing of household items. We discover that because of the policies of continuous hike in interest rates, it has also increased the cost of production of those products. So the government needs to look at the cost of production of these products vis-a-vis the profit margins that is expected from the production based on cost, based on energy and other aspects, to be able to arrive at a suitable price control that will not hurt the manufacturers as well. So that is why there should be collaboration between the private sector and the government to ensure that there is no excessive profiteering by the manufacturers in this regard. You will discover that household items comes into the market and the prices increase even on daily basis, some on weekly basis, some on monthly basis. And this has been because of the fluctuations in the foreign exchange, fluctuations in cost of production through cost of running their plants, the energy payment and all the rest. So that has not allowed them, there is no stability in the cost of production. And when there is no stability in the cost of production, that has arisen from interest rates increase almost every time, fluctuations in forex and scarcity and other factors. There is no way there will be stability in the pricing. So that is why government collaborating with the private sector need to also play its own part to ensure that the key areas where government need to stabilize the economy, they intervene. I like the government presently trying as much as possible to stabilize the forex market. There has been the liberalization of the forex market, which has one way or the other jacked up the price of the price of forex to the extent that it got to almost $1,000 to $1,000 to $1. But with the recent injection and pronouncement or policy measures by the CBN, we see a reversal, and the naira has been gaining consistently. So we need to get to a stage where naira is stabilized, where there is enough forex for manufacturers for import of raw materials. So when there is stability in the naira, if for example naira can be stable within the range of maybe 750 to 760 for a whole month, I see no reason why manufacturers using the forex to bring produce will want to jack up their prices based on forex fluctuation. So the government needs to intervene in key areas of energy, forex and interest rate fluctuations, so that the manufacturers also would have no justification for continuous increase in price at will.
Okay, we know Nigeria that before now, even when we have these products, they'll tell you it's not in season, blah 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 blah. Something just came to mind. Before now, we have I think it's the DPR in charge of checkmating fuel stations if they're changing
the populace.
Can we have something similar to that
in the agric sector?
In the agric sector, so to say that each market you have a staff, maybe a department in the agric ministry, or maybe as an extension worker or something that will be attached to each major market, not just that would checkmate the prices of this item. Would that, I don't know.
Actually, that is embedded in the policy framework for agric extension workers. If as promised by this government to bring them back, if they are brought back, what their core functions is, one, to liaise with farmers to ensure that produce that come out are well secured, in the sense that if there is going to be excess produce that the market will not be able to absorb, the extension workers will be able to initiate a plan with the government to absorb them into the national reserves and release them afterwards, so that the farmers does not make losses. Part of their work also, when they say the agric extension workers, is to ensure that they also liaise with research institutes to bring the improved seedlings and monitor how the farmers perform. So when it now gets to the monitoring aspect of their work, they get to where they monitor the price and the effect on the people. So it's part of the policy framework of the Agric Extension workers as part of what they are supposed to do for the government in ensuring that there is stability in pricing, stability in production, and farmers do not lose grounds at all. So I believe that it will be part of the core mandate of the Agric Extension workers that the government wanted to introduce back to ensure that there could be balance, check and balances in pricing as well.
Okay, your word before we round off. We worked for farmers. It's a new dawn.
Yes,
in the world of agric in Nigeria. It's a new dawn. What's your word for farmers?
Yes, farmers now, I want them to feel important. I want farmers to feel encouraged. I want farmers to know that the government is presently thinking about them. I want farmers to know that their welfare is also in the front burner of the government, and because the government wants to ensure their security, the government wants to ensure their continuous existence of both their physical and their businesses. So they should feel encouraged and be determined to be able to play their own part in lifting Nigeria out of food scarcity.
Thank you for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
On that note, to wrap it up, you've heard it. Farmers should feel very important, and at the same time, they should do the right thing as regards, giving Nigeria what, behoves of them. That is on the program for this week. Join us again, same time, same station next week for another educating episode of Agric Economy. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. Saying bye for now.